Greetings! We are looking at dyslexia as well as mild and moderate reading disabilities. But it starts with understanding what reading is, the process of reading, defining our terms. Reading is not sounding out words, although that might be part of it. Reading is creating meaning with print. If we're not creating meaning, we are not reading. That is an important distinction. Many definitions of reading are based on this idea that it's simply sounding out words, and that is very, very limiting. The brain uses 3 cueing systems to recognize words as we read. We use the phonological cueing system, phonics, that's sounding out words, but we also use semantics and syntax. These are the 2 most important cueing systems. If we focus on just one, and traditional reading instruction, especially for students with dyslexia or mild and moderate reading disabilities, focuses on just one, the other 2 cueing systems atrophy. Couple things to note about dyslexia. We need to focus on affect or the emotional component. We emote with the same brain we think with. Our emotions affect our learning. Students with dyslexia, they are successful at being failures. They come to school and they fail all day long. That affects self-esteem and other emotions. So the most important thing in dealing with students with dyslexia is first attending to that emotional affect component. Emotions deal with motivation. Our affect deals with motivation and emotions. We must make sure that all our instruction is proximal. Think of proximity, zone of proximal development. We do not frustrate students with dyslexia. Instruction needs to be at the independent level or just a little above. And one of the problems with students with dyslexia, especially older students, is finding good books at the appropriate level. Students in grades 5 and above, we don't want them reading ducky books. They don't like reading ducky books. But yet, how do you find a book at the 1st, 2nd grade level that's appropriate for students in 5th grade and above, especially at middle school and high school? If you give them a ducky book, you will see their body language. We have what's called high-low books, high interest, low reading ability. Capstone Press and their online program Mayan has thousands of good high-low books available. These students need to experience success, students with dyslexia. They need to. And in subsequent videos, we will show you how to do this. You must keep instruction fun, safe, and enjoyable if you want to see results. 8 important concepts related to reading instruction for students with dyslexia and all students, mild, moderate reading disability, and above. Reading, again, is not simply sounding out words, it's creating meaning with print. I can sound out German text, but it has no meaning, so I am not reading. Again, the brain uses 3 cueing systems: graphic, phonetic, syntax, and semantics. We'll explore each of these, but focusing on just one atrophies your ability to create, atrophies the other 2, and slows down your ability to create meaning with print. We use 7. There are 7 ways to recognize unknown words. We use context clues as we're reading along to see what word makes sense. We use and we teach students how to use morphological analysis, prefix, suffixes, root words, to use word families or parts of the words you recognize, as we are reading text, not individual letters. Also, it's okay for students to ask a friend, what's that word? It's okay to skip the word, as long as you're still creating meaning. And we use sight words. We recognize words on sight, the basic, most frequent words. And phonics is only one way, putting each letter to each sound. However, notice that phonics takes up the most cognitive space in short-term memory. It's the least efficient, and it can make learning to read more difficult. Expert readers use minimal letter cues. If we have students with reading problems, dyslexia, and mild and moderate, having them focus on letter sounds is often the worst thing we can do, but yet that's often all they get, and we wonder why they aren't making progress creating reading. Remember, reading is using text to create meaning. We use the information in our head along with that in the book to create meaning. It's an interactive process. Put it another way, this is the information processing model. We have information stored in long-term memory. We perceive the information from the text. It goes into short-term memory. We use what's in our head to help us perceive and understand what's on the page. What's in our head interacts with what's on the page. If we have a body of knowledge related to the topic we're reading, it makes us better able to create meaning with that text. That is semantics, meaning. If we have knowledge of syntax, word order, grammar, etc., that also helps us create meaning with text. All right, this is part 1, understanding dyslexia, understanding mild and moderate reading disabilities.